welcome to section 2 of unit 6 of international procurement. Today we'll be looking at working capital financing, counter trade and international money. By the end of this section, you should be able to explain the term capital financing, describe counter trade and the type of counter trade, and explain international money orders. So working capital has several meanings in business and in economic development finance. So in accounting and financial statement analysis, it is defined as a firm's short-term or current assets and current liabilities. So basically, as my accounting lecturer will put it, the monies you hold to work with. I mean, in an organization, or your current assets or your current liabilities. Liabilities in itself also, like your debts, or yes, not necessarily your debt, but then your credits. Yes, like your credits you use in um, the day-to-day running of the business. So in finance, it refers to the firm's investment in two types of assets. So in one instance, working capital means a business's investment in short-term assets needed to operate over a nominal business cycle. Then in a second or a broader meaning, working capital is a company's overall non-fixed assets investment. So as it may mean for short-term assets, it would also mean for non-fixed assets investment. Thus, working capital can represent a broader view of a firm's capital needs that includes both current assets and other non-fixed assets investments related to its operation. So basically, a firm's non-fixed assets, a firm's current assets, and a firm's I mean, a firm's current assets and a firm's non-fixed assets in investments that relates to its operation. So that is what working capital is. As loosely we may want to term it, when we are starting a business, we are like, oh, have you a capital now? So basically in itself, working capital. So advantages of a working capital, it increases speed and flexibility in whatever business you are running. It helps in running business smoothly. That's also true, and it helps maintain goodwill of the company. The company is noted to have a good working capital, or a company is noted to have a working capital that's, or like a money that they have to sustain the business, then it would create some form of goodwill for the company. Again, working capital um, adds in value or gives value additions. So without working capital, without money, you cannot give additions to, or you cannot add value to, your value chain or whatever operation you are engaging in. So look at some disadvantages of working capital. So no return on capital. Sometimes you may not receive returns on capital. Chances of overspending. Sometimes when you have enough, you may want to overspend it. And hard to attract investors. Sometimes too, investors may not want to work with you as you already have a working capital. And then difficult to grow businesses. So we look at counter trade. So let's look at counter trade and what it is. The term counter trade denotes all type of foreign trade transactions in which a sale of good to one country is linked to the purchase or exchange of goods from the same country. So a sale of good in one country is actually linked to the purchase or exchange of goods from the same country. So some type of capital counter trade is barter, which has already been in existence for thousands of years. So you give me this and I give you that. You give me salt, I give you gun or gun. No, you give me gold, I give you salt. You give me gold, I give you gunpowder or gun. Yes, basically that is it for counter trade. So counter trading is often the most used in transactions between private companies and developed nations and governments and developing nations. Not long ago we heard that our vice president um, traded for rules with our bauxite. So basically, some natural resources we may well, we would send it to the developed nations, and they will also in turn give us something we may not have. And counter trade requires that the buyer compensates the seller in a manner other than transfer of money. So counter trade or barter is most often used when the buyer lacks access to convertible currencies or finds that rates are unfavorable or can exchange for products or service desired to the seller. So as I mentioned with um, um, the bauxite and then the road example. So we need roads, they need natural resources. We have them in abundance, we give them, they give us roads. So basically that's what a counter trade is about. So there are two types of counter trade, or there are some types of counter trade we may want to look at. And we look at the barter system as we already mentioned. This is a system of trade which participants trade goods or services for other goods or services. So you give me this and I give you that. Then there's also counter purchase. It is an agreement on flexible purchase. This happens when a firm agrees to purchase a number of goods from the country where it is sold. So a firm I mean, happens to agree to purchase a number of goods from the country where it is sold. So basically, that is the counter purchase agreement. So it's an agreement on flexible purchase. So here, a firm would agree to purchase a number of goods from the country where that good it is sold. So that is counter purchase. Then we look out for the offset. So the offset also looks like the counter purchase. So this happens when one party agrees to purchase goods or service using some form of products from original sale. So one party may want to. So here we are saying that the party would agree to purchase good or service using some of the products from the original sale. So it's like from um, you are buying some form of good, but then you are using an original sale of the product. So for example, let's say um, you want to send in your used car, or yes, your used car for an upgraded version of the car. So like as we may want to term it loosely in Ghana as a swap deal. So it's like you are giving the original sale, or that the same company sold this to you, but then you are using that to make purchase of another one. So you submit that one and then you add something small to it. So the difference is that the particular party can fulfill the agreement by purchasing from any company in the country in which it has performed the sale. So here, unlike the 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 swap deals, here the purchase can be made from any company in the country in which it performed the sale. So if it was a German car, I could use it to buy another car in Germany. So basically that is the offset. Then we come to some advantages of counter trade. It allows entry into difficult markets. That's true. I mean, it will, for difficult markets, when you have counter trade, agreements, you can always enter into them. Increases company sales where you might not otherwise have business. Yes, if you are entering into a new market, then you are probably going to increase your market sale where you may not have the chance of increasing that sale. Overcome credit difficulties. Again, it allows for disposal of declining or surplus products. And then there's also that gain of competitive advantage over over their competitors or over competition. So all of these are advantages of counter trade. Look at some disadvantages. There's complex negotiations. Imagine you giving someone gold for road. See how the negotiation may be, and how the terms of the contract may be very complex. Again, the value proposition may be uncertain. Yes, for value proposition, it is always uncertain when it comes to um, counter trade, and that's why it's a disadvantage, because gold for gold, you see the value propositions may be vastly different. there's a wide difference in gold and gold, but then that's what you have in abundance and that's what you need. So you would have to give in that one. Potentially higher cost and logistical issues. There's always the issue of higher cost and logistical issues, and also a higher transactional cost. So basically, we see that as part of the disadvantage of a counter trade, cost is high. Then we look at international money orders. The international monetary system is a structure within which foreign exchange rates are determined. International trade and capital flows are accommodated and balance of payments adjustments made. So all of these instruments, institutions, and agreements that link together the world currency, money market, securities, real estate, and commodities markets are also part of the international monetary orders. So we, I mean, how the exchange rate works and everything is an international monetary order. So someone loosely or a friend was having a conversation with me, and this friend mentioned that, oh, what if we have some reserves, or does the US have some reserves here? What if it is just in our minds that they have this, amount of reserves? What if there's nothing of that sort, but it's just in our minds? So for international monetary orders, it is basically the international monetary system structure that, makes us know that these exchange rates, these balance of payments, adjustments, securities, real estate, and everything work. But then to a different angle, one may argue that, there's nothing in a vacuum. They are just empty rooms heavily guarded that we are saying, okay, these are reserves. But that was just by the way. So the international monetary system is a framework within which countries borrow, lend, buy, sell, and make payments across political frontiers. So we just see that the world is in debt of, let's say, $35 billion or $1 trillion. But who does the world actually owes? So you see, that is what I was saying earlier. But then we see that the framework determines how balance of payments disequilibriums are resolved. And the numerous frameworks are possible, and most have been tried in one form or the other. So some advantages of the international money orders. It helps to reduce the risk of exchange rates. Again, it forces countries to observe strict monetary policies. I like this point because they are saying that it forces countries to observe strict monetary policies. So if you are not doing what is right economically, your exchange rates may be falling, and hence, the world will be going ahead of you. It helps a country correct its trading imbalances. That's what the IMF decided to come to Ghana to do, to help us correct our trading balances and all that, and then promote financial stability and economic growth. So some disadvantages of the international money orders is it provides developing countries with seed for instability. Yes, because it makes developing countries always over reliant on these international monetary structures. That, okay, we'll come to IMF when we are we are we are we are broke, and hence it makes these developing countries, provides them with seeds of instability. Again, the current system does not reflect the rise of newly emerging economies. Then the current dollar system bears the risk of destabilizing the economy of the issuing country. So, there's always that negative bit of um, the systems of the dollar, the systems of the international monetary structures. I mean, giving or posing as risk of destabilizing the economy of um, some issuing countries, and even at some point some receiving countries like Ghana. So in this section we have learned about the capital financing, describing counter trade and the payment of counter trade, and explain the international money orders. Thank you, and see you some other time.